Hi everyone, this is a video on the subject of Nadi Shodhanam. So what is Nadi Shodhanam? This is one of the pranayama practices, one of the breathing practices that's designed to prepare your breath and thereby to prepare your mind for meditation. It's actually one of the finest and best practices that you can use to lead your mind into meditation very naturally. So in the practice of Nadi Shodhanam, the goal is to have your breath eventually flowing in a certain way, in a certain mode, that will also cause your mind to flow in a certain specific way, from where meditation becomes really easy and natural. No longer an effort, no longer a struggle. The mind turns inward and becomes one-pointed very naturally. Right, so that's the purpose of Nadi Shodhanam. Now, you can call this practice, if you want, alternate nostril breathing. A lot of times people call it alternate nostril breathing. That's a good practical name for Nadi Shodhanam, but let's look just for a moment at what those Sanskrit words mean. Nadi Shodhanam. Okay. Very often, if you're looking at doing a practice, if you look at the Sanskrit words and the significance of the meaning of those words, it will give you some idea of the purpose of the practice and the significance of the practice. So good idea to just look at that. So first of all, Nadi. What's a Nadi? A Nadi is a individual flow of prana, flow of energy. So one way to have a basic understanding of that is if you just look at the model of the 5 koshas, pancha koshas, from the yoga system of looking at the human personality. There's this model called the 5 koshas. I'll do another separate video on that another time, but just looking at it very briefly, this is a model of the human personality which says, look, the spiritual self, which is your self, your real self, is contained within 5 sheaths. Now, a sheath is something that covers a sword, right? So 5 coverings or 5 containers. And it's those 5 coverings that cause our personality to appear to be what it is. Now, the most external of those koshas, of those sheaths, is the physical body, called Annamaya kosha, the body made of food. So all that food that we ate in the last little while. That's the most gross, the most external of the koshas. Next most internal from there, next more subtle from there, is called pranamaya kosha. Now, pranamaya kosha is the body made of prana, made of energy. And just like in the physical body, if you look at just your physical body, you'll see a lot of different channels which carry flows. Blood vessels and lymphatic vessels, nerve fibers, and these flows, these channels divide and divide again and divide again until they become really millions, uncountable numbers of very fine channels in the physical body. So the prana body, the pranamaya kosha, very similar to that, also has these individual flows, not of blood or lymph, but of prana, energy. And these flows of prana in your prana body are called nadis. Right? So that's Nadi for Nadi Shodhanam. Now, Shodhanam, very roughly translated, means cleansing or purifying. Right? So cleansing or purifying the nadis. That's Nadi Shodhanam. So now, for the purpose of our practice of Nadi Shodhanam, we're going to be looking primarily at 3 nadis. These 3 nadis are called Pingala, Ida, and Sushumna. Right, now Pingala Nadi. Pingala can also literally be translated as the sun. Pingala Nadi is considered to be related to the masculine part of our personality. Ida, for Ida Nadi, Ida can literally be translated as the moon. And Ida Nadi is considered to be related to the feminine part of our personality. This is also connected to left and right brain hemispheres, although the physical body and the prana body aren't exactly overlapping. They're not exactly correlated. There is a correlation, but not an exact correlation. So Pingala, the more masculine part, Ida, the more feminine part. These two flows of energy, these two nadis, are also related to the flow of the breath, of course, because the flow of prana is absolutely tied together with the flow of our breath. Breath and prana are intimately linked. So the flow of these two flows of prana, Pingala Nadi and Ida Nadi, are related to the breath flow in the right nostril and the left nostril. Pingala to the breath flow in the right nostril, Ida to the breath flow in the left nostril. Those two flows of energy are roughly flowing next to our spine, right? There's no exact physical location of a nadi, but roughly correlated to the location of our spine from the base up through to the point between the two eyebrows. And now Sushumna, the third one, is the absolute center. So not the right side or the left side, not the sun or the moon, not the hot or the cold, not the positive or the negative, not the masculine or the feminine, but the absolute center, state of absolute balance, absolute equipoise. And so in the practice of Nadi Shodhanam, what we're doing is we're focusing our mind's awareness on the flow of the breath in the two nostrils alternately, and thereby allowing the mind's awareness to flow, allowing the breath to flow, allowing the energy to flow, and slowly cleansing and purifying those energy flows to the point where the energy can start to flow in the center, become so balanced that the central channel starts to flow with prana. And when the prana starts to flow in the central channel in Sushumna, that's when the mind will very naturally, very spontaneously become inward pointed, start to flow easy on one point of awareness and go into meditation. Right? So that flow of energy and flow of the mind in Sushumna is really one of the essential steps of the process of meditation. Okay? And this practice, Nadi Shodhanam, is specifically designed to try and cause that to come about. So, just now, a few practical points about the practice of Nadi Shodhanam, when to practice it. So one of the nice things about this practice is that you can really practice it at any time. Anyone can practice it, and it can be practiced at any time. It will probably benefit you the most if you practice it right before your meditation. You do some time of Nadi Shodhanam practice, then you just flow into your meditation will go well. Especially if you practice Nadi Shodhana often, again and again. Right? You can practice it once a day, you can practice it twice a day, you can practice it 3 times a day, or even more, if you have time. When I lived in the ashram of my master Swami Veda in India, we would We would practice 3 times a day. I stayed in his residential student program, and he really encouraged us to practice Nadi Shodhanam together with other breathing practices, which I can talk about later. 3 times a day, which was before the morning meditation, then before lunch in the middle of the day, and then before the evening meditation in the evening before dinner. So that was 3 times a day. You can practice it as often as you want to. There are some basic preparations, basic foundations for the practice of Nadi Shodhanam itself. So these are mainly 2 things. First, your sitting posture. For the practice of Nadi Shodhanam, you want to be able to sit in your meditation posture with a naturally aligned spine. Right? If you think about what you're doing, you're concentrating your mind's awareness on the flow of breath and on the flow of prana in these channels which are flowing next to your spine. So you want to give those flows of energy a straight path in which to flow. So you want to be able to align your spine. Right? Very important. Secondly, you want to be breathing naturally, which means diaphragmatically. So one really good practice that you can do before you do your practice of Nadi Shodhanam is to lie down in Makarasana for a few minutes, 5 minutes, or ideally 10 minutes, to just start to feel that natural diaphragmatic flow of your breath. Okay. After practicing Makarasana again and again for weeks or months, very regularly, after some time, your breath is just flowing diaphragmatically all the time, then you can just sit down, feel that natural flow, let your breath calm down, and get into the practice of Nadi Shodhanam. Okay, so those 2 things, aligned spine, natural diaphragmatic breath, are the 2 basic foundations for a good practice of Nadi Shodhanam. So then how do we practice? So what we're going to do is close one nostril and feel the breath in the other nostril, and then close the other nostril and feel the breath in the first nostril, and back and forth, etc. Finally, relaxing the arm and feeling the breath flow in both nostrils, and again. That's the basic premise of the practice. Now, how to close your nostrils, what to do. So there's 2 options you have for how to do this. One, you can use what's called Vishnu Mudra, which is to take your hand, bring the index finger and middle finger to the meaty part at the base of your thumb. Then your ring finger and small finger are together and your thumb is separate. You use your thumb on your right nostril. You use the ring and small finger on your left nostril. And when you're closing the nostril, there's no need to push really hard. Right? No need to push your head out of alignment. Just touch very gently. Right? So that's one variation. The other variation is same thing, but you can take those 2 fingers, index and ring finger, rather than placing them here, you place them between your 2 eyebrows, and you do the same thing. Right. So one of those 2. Now, one final tip about the hand and the nose is bring your hand to your nose. Don't bring your nose to your hand. So I just say it because in each and every class that I teach Nadi Shodhanam Pranayama, there's always a practice period where people are trying it, and there are always a few which are bringing their nose to their hand, which ultimately means you're curling your spine. So just the suggestion is there, feel as you're doing the practice, as you're getting into the practice, just try and be aware of your body and check yourself from time to time. You can open your eyes check the alignment of your spine. And if you're starting to lean over, then just, again, realign your spine, relax, let your breath flow and continue, okay? So then, technique for Nadi Shodhana, exactly how to do the alternate nostril breathing. So we've covered when to practice, we've covered preparations, diaphragmatic breathing, good naturally aligned spine. So now there are a few different possible ways. In fact, there are many, many variations in the technique of Nadi Shodhanam. So for the sake of this video, what I will do is give one possible variation, one possible technique. And then on the extras section of the Digital Pilgrim website, I'll upload a chart which will contain a couple of different variations laid out for how to practice, how to alternate the breath in the nostrils. So you can check there. Also, there's a wonderful description of techniques of practicing Nadi Shodhanam in the book titled Meditation and Its Practice by Swami Rama. So if you're looking for a book which gives you good instructions in Nadi Shodhanam, check that one out. It has really good instructions and offers a few different techniques for the practice as well. Okay, so for now, just one specific technique. So this one is fairly simple. What you're going to do is 9 breaths equals 1 round. 9 breaths equals 1 round, okay? So you're going to first figure out which nostril is active. Now the 2 nostrils will always be shifting in active and passive. So one nostril, the breath will always be flowing a bit more. One nostril will always be a bit more blocked and the breath will be flowing a bit less. So what you need to do to start is to just feel your breath. I usually just gently half close one nostril, then the other, exhale through your nose and feel where is the breath flowing more. You can also exhale through the nose onto the back of your hand and feel which side is the breath flowing more. Find out which nostril is more open. That's the active nostril. You're going to start with an exhalation from the active nostril. And you're going to do 3 exhalations and inhalations from the active nostrils. So, for example, at present my right nostril is active. So what I'll do to begin the practice, I inhale and then I exhale from my active nostril. So I'm closing my passive nostril. I exhale and inhale 1. Exhale and inhale 2. Exhale and inhale 3. Then I'm going to change. So I'm going to close the active nostril and exhale from the passive nostril. And again, I'll do 3. Exhale, inhale 1. Exhale, inhale 2. Exhale, inhale 3. Having done 3 on both sides, finishing with an inhalation, then I release my hand, just rest it down where it comes naturally, and do 3 breaths from both nostrils. Exhale, inhale 1. Exhale, inhale 2. Exhale, inhale 3. Right, so 9 breaths. This is 1 round. So again, I started with an exhalation from the active. I did 3 exhale inhales from the active. Then I shifted 3 exhale inhales from the passive. Then release the hand. 3 exhale inhales from both nostrils. Right, that's 1 round. Now, you can do many rounds, depending on the time you have. A good basic practice is 3 rounds. So one more thing to know about the technique. When you go to the second round, you're going to start on the other side. So if I started my right nostril active, I started with an exhalation from the right nostril. Then for the second round, I'm going to start with an exhalation from the left nostril. And I'm going to follow the same sequence. So left nostril, exhale, inhale 1, exhale, inhale 2, exhale, inhale 3, shift, exhale, active nostril, inhale 1, exhale, inhale 2, exhale, inhale 3, relax the hand, and 3 breaths from both nostrils again. So second round. Third round, I go back to starting with the active. So third round is the same exactly as the first round. Fourth round, go back to the passive. So fourth round is the same as the second round, right? So you're alternating like that. So this is one good basic technique. There are some different techniques, some different ways of alternating. Some have a little more, some have a little less alternation. This is a good one to start with. And again, I'll put a few different charts for practice on the website so you can check there. Now, final points about the practice. Ideally, you want to allow your breath to flow free and natural throughout. So you don't ever want to feel as though you're forcing your breath. You don't ever want to feel as though there's tension in your breath. And you certainly don't want to feel as though you're getting out of breath. Okay, so if you're feeling that, then it's too much. You just need to relax and just breathe normally for a while. You shouldn't ever feel you're getting out of breath. In fact, if the practice is going well, you're just going to feel more and more as though you're enjoying the flow of your breath. Your breath is flowing more and more relaxed and subtle. And you'll just want to continue, and then you'll flow very naturally into meditation. Okay, so hope you enjoy the practice. Check out the extras section of the Digital Pilgrim website for practice charts, and wish you a smooth, joyful, flowing breath and deep, silent meditations. And see you next time. Thank you.